Today, we're going to be talking with ChatGPT about some of the misunderstandings that I often see when I watch Sovereign Citizen videos, and hopefully, we can clarify a few things. Sovereign citizens often don't want to participate in the society because they believe their birth certificate and Social Security are contracts that were established before they were at the capacity to go into contract. This invalidates jurisdiction that is not consensual. They believe birth certificates and Social Securities are contracts. The lack of consent equals no jurisdiction, and they can just opt out of society. A birth certificate is simply a government record of a live birth, and a Social Security number is an administrative tool for tracking earnings and benefits. So, depending on how much you earn, that should determine how much gets paid out in benefits. Jurisdiction is not optional. Jurisdiction is based on geography and legal authority, not consent. If you're physically present in the United States, you're under the jurisdiction of its laws, regardless of personal beliefs or consent. To simplify, America has conquered this land, and all land that has been conquered by America is subject to the laws of America. If you are within the land that America has conquered, you are subject to its laws. The U.S. legal system does not allow individuals to unilaterally declare independence from law or government. That would be lawless. This makes me wonder about a scenario in which a person from Florida that is visiting a place like Colorado, and Colorado has a curfew through state statute. Not being a resident of Colorado, what obligation does the person from Florida have to follow those laws? If a Florida resident is in Colorado during a curfew, what is their obligation? Their obligation is because jurisdiction is based on geography. You don't necessarily have to be a resident, you just have to physically be there. If you are physically there, you are subject to Colorado laws. The Supremacy Clause of the United States Constitution establishes a hierarchy: the U.S. Constitution, the supreme law of the land, federal law, and then state law, which is valid within state borders. If a Colorado curfew has not been ruled unconstitutional, it is presumed valid and enforceable until challenged in court. So if you don't like the law, you have to gain standing and challenge it into court. But even visitors must follow this law. The U.S. Constitution is what gives power to these other um, state entities to create their law. So the state law is reinforced by the Constitution, which has granted them a declared right to be able to create their own laws. So, about the Social Security number, obligations like taxation, military draft, and compliance with federal laws don't arise from the Social Security at all. That agency does not, uh, it's not the one that you're obligated to pay taxes to. That comes from statutory law, citizenship regulations, and The U.S. Constitution, which grants Congress the power to tax, regulate, and enforce. So even if you don't have a social security number, you're still under jurisdiction of those laws and you still owe taxes on earned income. And if not, you can be prosecuted, deported, or regulated by authority. The government has broad police powers, taxation powers, and enforcement authority, even if you never sign a thing. If you are a free man, how are you obligated? I understand jurisdiction is based on geography, but in a unique way, America is the land of the free. If a man cannot choose to participate in society or to reject society, there is no proof he is free at all. The nature of our laws is to serve we the people, which are the creators of government and not its subjects. In the American tradition, freedom has never meant lawlessness or pure autonomy. It has meant freedom under the law, not freedom from the law. The right to self govern, not to govern outside of society. The balance between individual liberty and collective order. The U.S. Constitution doesn't promise absolute individual liberty. It promises liberty within a legal and democratic framework. You are not free to simply opt out of society's rules while still living within its territory. You can live off grid, stop using the SSN, avoid employment, and avoid taxes. This is a huge misunderstanding. There is no such thing as off grid, especially not in 2025. If you think you live off the grid, pull up a US map. I bet you can pinpoint exactly where you're standing. Everything is on the grid. So your only option, if you don't like America's laws, is to leave America. If freedom means anything, it must mean the right to say no. But under a legal, but under American legal tradition, your freedom only exists because you live under a government that defends it, defines it, and protects it. Do you get that? The only reason why you have freedom at all is because your government defends it, defines it, and protects it. I don't believe that they think they can choose what laws they obey or don't obey. Most seem to stand on common law. Common law, natural rights, contract law, property law, harm based liability, no victim, no crime. If there's no injured party, there is no crime. The reality is that everything within the physical land is subject to the physical land jurisdiction of America is subject to the United States Constitution as the supreme law of the land. So sovereigns are often seeing life as if common law was the supreme law of the land, and it simply is not. The United States Constitution is the supreme law of the land, which holds values of common law, but in and of itself is not common law. And in this legal system, the United States Constitution is superior. It is the supreme law of the land. All land within the United States is under the jurisdiction of the U.S. Constitution and the laws made under it. All land. And this applies to citizens, non citizens, visitors, residents of states or federal territories, or aliens from outer space. Anybody who steps foot on U.S. soil is subject to the U.S. Constitution and the laws made under it. And whenever I say the laws made under it, the Constitution grants power to certain entities, and you are also subject to those laws. Anyways, I hope you found something useful. If you want to read everything, just go back and pause it. ChatGPT will often give you way too much information, but I would highly encourage you to download it. If you notice from the way I was speaking to it, you don't have to be proper. You can just kind of speak freely, and ChatGPT will be able to give you some sort of an answer.